The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss. Park stepped out onto the metal floor of Academy and took her first breath of recycled space station air. It smelled clean but felt strange. This was not Earth. This was not home. Beside her stretched his arms and looked around with wide eyes. "Can you believe this?" he whispered. "We are actually here in space, at an alien school." Did not answer. She was too busy watching. The docking bay was enormous. Ships of all sizes came and went through glowing blue barriers that held the air inside. Creatures of every shape walked past them. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had no legs at all and floated on strange energy fields. Had studied all of them in her training files, but seeing them in person was different. They were the first humans to ever attend Academy. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 5 years ago. Humans were new. Humans were unknown. And to most of the galaxy, humans were weak. A tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms approached them. It wore a white uniform and carried a tablet device. "Human delegation," it said in a flat voice. "Follow me to orientation." Smiled and tried to be friendly. "Thank you, this place is amazing. We are very happy to be here." The creature did not smile back. It simply turned and walked away. The smile faded a little, but he followed anyway, walked beside him in silence. The hallways of the station were wide and bright. Screens on the walls showed announcements in dozens of languages. Students from many species passed by, some walking, some crawling, some flying with small wings. Most of them looked at the 2 humans with curiosity. A few looked at them with something else, something colder. Noticed everything. She noticed the way some aliens stepped aside to avoid them. She noticed the whispers that stopped when they got close. She noticed the looks of disgust on certain faces. She was used to being watched. She had trained for years under the eyes of strict instructors, but this was different. These eyes did not want to teach her. These eyes wanted to judge her. The orientation hall was a massive room filled with seats. Hundreds of new students sat in groups, separated by species. The humans were given 2 seats in the back corner, sat down and tried to look relaxed, sat straight and kept her hands still on her lap. A large screen lit up at the front of the room. A voice began to explain the rules of the academy. Listened carefully, but her attention kept moving to a group of students sitting near the middle of the hall. They knew about them from her files, were a warrior species. They had thick green scales, sharp claws, and powerful tails. They were known for their strength and their pride. They believed that power was the only thing that mattered in the galaxy, and they did not like weak species. One was bigger than the others. He sat in the center of the group like a king. His scales were darker, almost black at the edges. His eyes were yellow and cold. He was laughing at something, and his laugh was loud and cruel. His name, would later learn, was. The orientation ended and the students began to leave, stood up and stretched. "That was long," he said. "Do you want to find our rooms? I could use some rest." Before could answer, a shadow fell over them. Stood in front of them. He was almost 2 meters tall. His arms were thick with muscle, and his claws clicked against each other as he looked down at the 2 humans. "So," he said, his voice deep and rough, "these are the humans, the soft-skinned scavengers." Took a small step back but kept his face calm. "Hello, this is Park. We are here to study same as you." Laughed. It was not a friendly laugh. "Study? Your species has been in space for 5 years. My people have ruled star systems for 5,000. You do not belong here." Other gathered behind. They watched with hungry eyes. Other aliens in the hall stopped to look. No one said anything. Kept his voice steady. "We passed the same tests as everyone else. We earned our place." Leaned closer. His breath smelled like metal and meat. "Earned? You crawled out of your little blue planet and begged the council to let you in. You are not warriors. You are not scholars. You are nothing." Did not move. She did not speak. She simply watched. She watched the way stood. She watched the way his weight shifted. She watched the joints in his arms and the angle of his tail. She watched the gaps between his scales where the armor was thin. She stored every detail in her mind like a map. Turned his eyes to her. "And what about you, female? Do you have nothing to say?" Met his gaze, her face showed nothing. "No," she said quietly, "not yet." Something flickered in his eyes. Confusion, maybe, or a tiny spark of doubt. But it passed quickly, replaced by his usual arrogance. "Smart," he said. "You know your place, keep it that way." He turned and walked away. His friends followed, still laughing. Let out a long breath. "That was intense. Are you okay?" Nodded slowly. Her eyes followed until he disappeared around a corner. Nearby, a student named watched the whole scene. She had silver skin and large, dark eyes. Her species could sense thoughts and feelings. She had felt the anger from she had felt the nervousness from the human male. But the human female was different. Had felt nothing from her. No fear, no anger, nothing at all. Just stillness, like deep water before a storm. Shivered and walked away. She did not know why, but something about that human female made her afraid. 3 days passed at academy, and attended classes, ate strange food in the dining hall, and tried to learn the layout of the massive station. Most aliens ignored them. Some were polite. A few were kind. But they were always watching, always waiting for a chance to cause trouble. On the 4th day, everything changed. The message came early in the morning. All first-year students were required to attend combat training in Hall 7. It was not a request. It was an order. Read the message on his tablet inside. "Combat training. I am a xenobiology student. I study cells and DNA. Why do I need to fight?" Tied her hair back in a simple ponytail. "Every species at this academy must prove basic combat skills. It is part of the integration program." "Great," muttered, "just great." Hall 7 was a large open space with soft floors and high ceilings. Students from many species stood in groups around the edges. In the center was a raised platform, the sparring ring. Commander stood near the platform. He was an older alien with gray skin and battle scars across his face. He had fought in the Orion campaigns 30 years ago. He had seen death. He had caused death. And now he taught young students how to fight. "Listen carefully," said. His voice was hard and cold. "Today we assess your combat abilities, not your species, not your history, just you. Each of you will enter the ring and face an opponent. We will learn what you can do." The students murmured among themselves. Some looked excited, some looked nervous, they looked hungry. Called the first pair to the ring. A student faced a small furry creature from the system. They fought carefully, trading gentle blows until called the match. It was polite. It was safe. It was boring. More matches followed. Some were interesting, some were not. Watched each one closely. She studied every fighting style. She noted every weakness. Then stepped forward. "Commander," he said loudly, "I wish to fight the human male." The hall went quiet. Everyone turned to look at. His face went pale, but he did not run. He stood tall and walked toward the ring, reached out and touched his arm. "You do not have to do this," she said quietly. Shook his head. "If I back down, they will never respect us. I have to try." He stepped onto the platform, was already there, rolling his massive shoulders. There was twice his size. His claws were sharp. His tail swung slowly behind him like a weapon waiting to strike. Commander looked at both fighters. "This is a controlled match. When I call stop, you stop, understood?" Both nodded. The bell rang. Charged like a beast. His feet shook the platform. His arms swung in a wide arc aimed at its head. Ducked, he was fast. He had trained in basic martial arts on Earth. He rolled to the side and landed a quick punch to his ribs. It was a good hit. Laughed, that tickled human. He swung again. This time his claws caught his shoulder, tearing through his uniform. Blood appeared on the fabric. gasped but kept moving. For a minute, maybe two, fought well. He used his speed. He used his brain. He landed several strikes to soft spots between scales. Some of the watching aliens looked surprised. The human was not easy prey. But strength matters. Caught with a tail sweep, the human crashed to the floor. Before he could rise, grabbed him by the throat and lifted him into the air. Weak hissed, pathetic. The bell rang. The match was over. Commander called out, "Release him, the match is finished." Smiled, and then he threw across the ring. The human hit the floor hard. His body rolled twice and stopped. He did not get up. He held his side and coughed. Something was broken, maybe a rib, maybe more. The hall was silent. Stood tall and spread his arms. This is the human species. This is what the council allowed into our academy, soft, weak, worthless. Some cheered. Most other students said nothing. They just watched. Commander stepped forward. That was unnecessary. The match was over. Shrugged, he was slow. Not my problem. His eyes narrowed, but before he could speak, a new voice cut through the silence. "I request a match." Everyone turned. Park stood at the edge of the platform. Her face was calm. Her voice was steady. She looked directly at. Against him, she said, "Now." Stared at her, then he laughed. It was a loud, cruel sound that echoed through the hall. "You, the little female, did you not see what I just did to your friend?" "I saw," said. She stepped onto the platform. "I also saw the 3 openings you left in your guard, the weakness in your left knee, the way you drop your shoulder before you strike." The laughter died. His eyes narrowed. "You think you saw weakness in me?" "I know I did." The hall was completely silent now. Even the other had stopped smiling. Something was happening that none of them understood. Commander looked at carefully. He saw something in her eyes that he had not seen before, something dangerous. "You understand what you are asking," he said. "This creature just broke your friend's ribs." "Yes," said simply. Was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Very well, take your positions." Cracked his neck and grinned. "This will be quick." Said nothing. She stood in the center of the ring with her hands at her sides. Her breathing was slow and even. Her eyes never left. Nearby, the watched with growing unease. She reached out with her telepathic senses, trying to read the human female's emotions. She found nothing. No fear, no anger, no nervousness. Just perfect calm, like the moment before a predator leaps, like the silence before thunder. Felt cold sweat on her silver skin. She had sensed many fighters before, warriors, killers, beasts, but she had never felt anything like this. This human was not afraid. And somehow, that was the most terrifying thing of all. The bell rang. The fight began. The bell rang, and the hall fell into complete silence. Did not wait, he never waited. He believed that the first strike won every battle. His massive legs pushed off the ground and he launched himself at like a missile. His claws were open. His teeth were bared. He was a monster made of muscle and scales and rage. Did not move. She stood still as a statue. Her eyes tracked charge. She measured the distance. She counted his steps. She watched the angle of his attack. At the last moment she moved. It was not a jump or a roll or a desperate dodge. It was a single step to the side. Small, precise, perfect. Claws cut through empty air. His momentum carried him forward past her, stumbling for a brief moment. In that moment struck. Her fist hit the soft spot behind his knee. It was a place where his scales were thin, a place where nerves gathered close to the surface. His leg buckled, and he dropped to one knee with a grunt of surprise. The crowd gasped. No one had ever seen a fall so easily. No one had ever seen anyone move like that human female. She had not used strength. She had not used speed. She had used something else. Something that made strength and speed look like toys. roared and swung his tail in a wide arc. It was a killing blow. That tail could break bones and crack walls. Jumped not away from the tail, but over it. She landed on the other side and delivered a sharp kick to his ribs. The sound was like a hammer hitting stone, coughed and staggered. He turned to face her, eyes burning with fury. "Lucky," he snarled. "That was luck." Said nothing, she simply watched him, waited. Attacked again. This time he was more careful. He threw a punch, then followed with a claw swipe, then spun for a tail strike. It was a combination that had defeated many opponents before. Avoided all of it. She moved like water. Each attack passed through the space where she had been a heartbeat before. She was never where expected. She was never where anyone expected. She flowed around his strikes like smoke around a flame. And every time she moved, she struck back. A palm strike to his elbow joint, a kick to the back of his ankle, a sharp jab to the sensitive spot under his arm. Each hit was small. Each hit was precise. Each hit caused pain. Began to slow, not from exhaustion but from damage. His left arm was numb. His right knee felt wrong. His breathing was harder than it should be. He could not understand what was happening. He had trained since he was a child. He had fought in dozens of matches and won every single one. He was supposed to be the strongest. He was supposed to win. But this human female was taking him apart piece by piece. In the crowd, the other students watched in shock. They had stopped cheering. Their leader was losing. Their champion was failing. Some of them began to look afraid. They stood frozen. Her mind was screaming with what she sensed from the room, fear from the confusion from everyone else, and from the human female still nothing, absolute nothing, a void where emotion should be. Commander watched with narrow eyes. He had seen many fighters in his long life. He had seen warriors of great skill and soldiers of great power, but he had never seen anything quite like this. The human female was not fighting. She was hunting. Charged again, desperation making him reckless. He grabbed a metal pole from the edge of the ring, a training weapon that was meant for other exercises. He swung at its head with all his strength. She ducked under the swing, she stepped inside his guard, and she grabbed his wrist. For a moment froze. Her hand was so small on his massive arm. Her body was so tiny next to his. It should have been nothing. It should have meant nothing. Then she twisted. The move was simple, a basic joint lock that human children learned in martial arts classes, but it was executed with perfect timing and perfect angle and perfect force. Shoulder popped, not out of its socket but close. Pain shot through his arm like fire. He dropped the pole and screamed. Released him and stepped back. Fell to his knees, holding his injured shoulder. His breath came in ragged gasps. His scales were covered in sweat. He looked up with eyes full of confusion and rage and something new, something he had never felt before. "Fear." "What are you?" he whispered. Looked down at him. Her face was calm. Her breathing was normal. She had barely broken a sweat. "I am human," she said simply. The crowd was silent. No one knew what to say. No one knew what to do. They had come to watch a destroy a weak human. Instead, they were watching something they could not explain. Commander looked at the clock. The match had been going for 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, this small human female had nearly defeated a warrior. He should stop the match. He should call it finished. But something made him wait. Something told him this was not over yet. Pushed himself to his feet. His legs were shaking. His arm hung at a strange angle. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye where one of strikes had split the scales. But he would not surrender. Did not surrender, did not lose, did not bow to weak species. "This is not over," he growled. "I will break you. I will crush you. I will show everyone that humans are nothing." Tilted her head slightly. It was the first emotion she had shown in the entire fight, a tiny flicker of something cold. "Try," she said. screamed and charged one final time, and moved to meet him. Charged with everything he had left. His good arm swung towards face. His tail whipped around to catch her legs. His jaws opened wide, ready to bite. It was a desperate attack, the attack of a wounded animal. Did not hesitate. She stepped into his charge, not away from it. Her shoulder met his chest, stopping his momentum. Her hands grabbed his swinging arm, and then she moved. It happened so fast that most watchers could not understand what they saw. One moment was attacking. The next moment he was flying through the air. He crashed onto the platform with a sound like thunder. The metal floor dented under his weight. Before he could rise, was on him. She grabbed his arm, the same arm that had hurt, the same arm that had broken so many opponents before. She twisted it behind his back and pushed it upward. Screamed. The joint was bending the wrong way. The bones were grinding against each other. The pain was beyond anything he had ever felt. Yield, said. Her voice was calm and cold. Never, gasped through gritted teeth. Do not yield to weak species. His eyes showed nothing. No anger, no pity, nothing. She pushed harder. The crack echoed through the silent hall. His arm broke at the elbow. The bone did not come through the skin, but everyone heard it snap. Everyone saw the arm bend at an angle that arms should not bend. Screamed again. It was a high, terrible sound, the sound of a predator learning what it felt like to be prey. But was not finished. She released his broken arm and moved to his back. Her fingers found the nerve clusters between his scales. These were spots that doctors knew about, spots that soldiers were trained to protect. But somehow, this human female knew exactly where they were. She pressed hard. His body went stiff. His screams stopped. His muscles locked in place. He could not move. He could not speak. He could only lie there, paralyzed, staring at the ceiling with wide eyes full of terror. Stood up, she looked down at the broken warrior at her feet. Then she looked at the crowd. Hundreds of aliens stared back at her. Dozens of other species. All of them were silent. All of them were afraid. On my planet, said, her voice carrying across the hall, we learned to fight things bigger than us for 10,000 years. We did not have scales. We did not have claws. We did not have natural armor or great strength. She paused. Her eyes moved across the crowd. But we survived, not because we were the strongest, but because we never stopped, because we learned every weakness, because we fought without mercy when we had to. She pointed at still form. You looked at us and saw weakness. You saw soft skin and small bodies. You thought we were prey. Her voice dropped lower, colder. We are not prey. We have never been prey. And anyone who tries to hurt us will learn that lesson the same way he did. The hall was completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Commander finally stepped forward. His face was unreadable. The match is over. Medical team, attend to the injured. Drones flew down from the ceiling and surrounded. They scanned his body, treated his wounds, and prepared to move him to the medical bay. He would live. He would heal. But he would never forget this day. The other students began to leave. They moved slowly, quietly, like animals leaving the territory of a dangerous predator. They were the last to go. They looked then at each other. None of them said anything. None of them knew what to say. Approached carefully. The silver skin was pale. Her hands were shaking. Your people, she said softly. You are not what we thought. Looked at her. For the first time, something like emotion appeared in her eyes. Not anger or pride. Something gentler. Something tired. No, agreed. We never were. Nodded slowly. I think the galaxy will learn this soon. I think many will not like what they learn. Probably not, said. But that is their problem, not mine. She walked to the edge of the platform where was being helped to sit up by medical drones. He was holding his ribs and wincing, but when he saw, he smiled. You really it, he said weakly. He hurt you, replied. He needed to learn. Laughed, then groaned from the pain. Remind me never to make you angry. Almost smiled, almost. You could never make me angry, you are too kind. She helped him stand. Together they walked out of the hall. Behind them the other students watched in silence. Some were thinking about what they had seen. Some were thinking about what it meant. Some were already sending messages to their home worlds. The humans, the soft species, the new children of space. One of their females had just broken a warrior without mercy. And she had done it so easily. In his office, Commander watched the recording of the fight for the third time. He paused it on the moment when Brooke's arm. Her face showed nothing. No satisfaction, no regret, just focus. He had fought in wars. He had killed enemies with his own hands. He had seen the best warriors of many species. But this human female scared him. Not because she was strong, but because she was controlled, because every movement had purpose, because she had shown that a human, when pushed, could be something terrible. He made a note in his files. It was a simple note, a warning for anyone who might face humans in the future. Do not underestimate them. Do not push them. And never, ever assume they are weak. Because they are not. They never were. 1 week passed after the fight, 7 days that changed everything. Healed quickly. The medical technology at Academy was far beyond anything on Earth. His broken ribs were fixed in 2 days. By the 3rd day, he was walking normally. By the 5th day, he was joking about the whole thing. I should thank, he said one morning at breakfast. Because of him, I got to skip 3 days of classes. Did not laugh, she rarely laughed, but she smiled a little, and for her that was the same thing. The Academy had changed in that week. Small changes, but noticeable ones. Students who had ignored the humans before now nodded to them in the hallways. Teachers who had spoken down to them now spoke with respect. And all of them went out of their way to avoid Park. Was still in the medical bay. His arm would take another week to fully heal. His pride would take much longer. Rumors said he refused to see visitors. Rumors said he had not spoken a word since the fight. Rumors said he woke up screaming at night. Did not care about the rumors. She had not fought him for revenge or for pride. She had fought him because he hurt her friend, because he needed to be stopped, because no one else would do it. Now it was done, and she had other things to think about. On the 8th day, Commander called her to his office. His office was a simple room with metal walls and few decorations. There was a desk, 2 chairs, and a window that showed the stars outside. Sat behind the desk, his face as unreadable as always. Sit, he said. Sat. For a long moment just looked at her. His eyes studied her face, her posture, the way she held her hands. He was reading her, she realized, trying to understand her. Finally he spoke. I have commanded soldiers for 40 years. I have trained warriors from 17 different species. I thought I understood combat. He paused, then I watched your fight. Said nothing, she waited. Your technique, continued, was not just good, it was perfect. Every movement had purpose. Every strike hit exactly where it needed to hit. You fought like someone who had been training their entire life. I have been training my entire life, said simply. My grandmother was a soldier. My mother was a soldier. I grew up learning that the body is a weapon. Nodded slowly. Your species has been in space for 5 years, but how long have you been fighting? Thousands of years, answered. We fought animals that were stronger than us. We fought each other. We fought disease and famine and cold. We never stopped fighting. We could not afford to stop. Leaned back in his chair. I looked at the files on your species after the match. Humans are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the toughest, but somehow you became the dominant species on your planet. You drove other predators to extinction. You survived ice ages and plagues and wars that killed millions. His voice dropped lower. And you did it without claws, without scales, without any natural weapons at all. We have natural weapons, said. Our minds, our will, our refusal to give up. Was quiet for a moment. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible on his face, but it was real. I have a proposal for you, he said. The Academy needs an assistant instructor for combat training, someone to help teach the integration classes. I want you to take the position. Blinked, this was not what she had expected. Me, I am a first-year student. You are the most skilled fighter I have seen in decades, replied. Rank does not matter, skill matters, results matter, and you have proven both. Thought for a moment. Teaching was not something she had planned for. She had come to the academy to study diplomacy, to learn how to help humanity take its place in the galaxy. But maybe this was part of that. Maybe showing other species what humans could do was just as important as signing treaties and making speeches. I have one condition, she said. Raised an eyebrow. Name it. Will assist me. He studies xenobiology, so he understands how different species work, and he is better at talking to people than I am. Considered this. Then he nodded. Acceptable, you will both begin next week. Stood and bowed her head slightly. It was a human gesture of respect. Returned it, bowing his own head in the same way. She left his office and found waiting in the corridor. What happened? He asked. Are you in trouble? No, said. We have jobs. Jobs? What kind of jobs? Combat instructors. We start next week. His eyes went wide. Wait, what? Both of us. I barely passed my combat training on Earth. That is why you will teach strategy and theory, said. I will teach the practical parts. Opened his mouth, then closed it. Then he laughed. This is insane. We have been here for less than 2 weeks, and now we are teaching the other species how to fight. Yes. Because you broke a warrior in front of everyone. Yes. Shook his head slowly. You know, when we left Earth, I thought we would be the ones learning from everyone else. I did not expect this. Looked at him. For once her face showed something soft, something warm. Humans always surprise people. It is what we do. They walked together through the station, passing students from dozens of species. Many of those students looked at them differently now, not with contempt or curiosity, with respect, with caution. Somewhere in the galaxy, news feeds were already spreading the story. A human female, a warrior, a fight that no one expected. Species that had never thought about humans before were now searching their databases, reading their history, learning about their wars, their weapons, their endless drive to survive. Some of them would be afraid, some of them would be curious, some of them would want to test the humans themselves. And some of them, the wise ones, would simply make a note in their files. Do not underestimate humanity. They survived their world. They will survive the galaxy. And if you push them, they will push back without mercy. In the medical bay, finally opened his eyes. His arm was healed now, but the memory of pain still lingered. He looked at the ceiling and remembered the human female's face above him. Calm, cold, unstoppable. He had called her weak. He had been wrong. And he would never make that mistake again.